episode of the vlog. We're currently on our 82nd lap. We've only got 28 to go, but it's a great day to be outside. I'm out of bed. Let's get to Ergen. And we've made it into the crew room to fuel up after such an ergo, because remember, food is fuel. We've got some lovely snow sending it down again as we get in the elevator. And after we've fueled up, oh yeah, Rudkin, yeah, oh yeah. We've had a lovely fuel up in the crew room here in Sierra Nevada. Nope, my floor. And now it's time to recover. Maybe have a nap, have a shake, have a banana, have some bread, more food because food is fuel. And then on to the next session. Oh yeah. Bye Rudkin.
Bye.
Bye Rudkin.
Bye.
Bye Rudkin.
Bye.
And I've had a couple of sessions or questions already about training here and the splits on the ergo. Really all depends on your fitness and whatnot of the differences in the splits. So some guys like to start really close to it, like maybe one split off. Other guys like to start a bit slower, get used to the altitude. I have taken off about 3, and then hopefully by the end of camp be at sea level split, or at least that is the plan. But now, like I said, it's time to go recover. Oh yeah. And we've got the walk down to the gym once more. Rudkin, how is weights? How are weights here up at altitude?
Hard, because there's lots of weights and it's hard.
But really, since we're higher up in the world, up the mountains, the air is thinner. So the weights and the gravity is less gravity. So the weights are actually lighter.
Yeah,
Isn't that right? That's about right. So therefore everyone lifts big. Nothing to do with training hard or anything like that. But now it's time to get to the weights room and do some gains. Alright, let's get to it. And we've finished a lovely little weight session. And what do you do after that weight session, Rudkin?
Fuel.
Yeah, you fuel up, because remember, food is fuel. Oh yeah! And we've made it to the crew room. We've got a delicious lunch. The Sierra Nevada crew room. Oh yeah! So let's get fueling up. And we've made it back into the room after lovely weight session, and I've actually had a lovely nap after said weight session that's at Erg this morning. Oh yeah! And outside is currently a pretty big blizzard, and there is a plough going round so we can run round the track once again tomorrow. Ooh, fantastic. But I'm going to just talk about a little bit about weights up here at altitude, like Dog or James Rudkin and I discussed as we were heading to weights this morning. We were saying, well, he was saying the weights are really hard. I was saying the weights are lighter because we're higher up, the gravity is less, and the air is thinner, so it's easier to move the weights. Obviously, this is a joke, and the gravity is not any different. And I mean, the air is thinner, but it's not enough to change the resistance of how the weights move through said air. But generally, we do get very strong up here, and maybe it's something in the water. Maybe it's just because we're training really hard and we're focusing. Maybe it's just the training camp vibe that you get, whereas all you're doing is focusing on training, and that is making the gains trained step up a gear and move quicker? Perhaps. But weights up here at altitude is definitely different than at sea level. And it's not like I'll go pick up a 60 kilo weight and it feels lighter. Definitely the whole lack of oxygen deal makes a big difference, especially when you're doing more reps, so you get out of breath and then you start, like, the lactic acid burn in, say, your arms or your legs or whatever your exercise you're doing does kick in quicker. If you've ever done occlusion training, so it's like putting, essentially, not quite, but a blood pressure cuff on, say, your leg if you're doing squats or something like that, and you put the cuff on and it's like essentially restricts the blood flow. If you want to do that, if you want to look into that, go ahead and look into it, but talk to a professional before you do that. But basically, the burn kicks in really fast when you do that type of training, and then it just doesn't fade. That's not quite the same at altitude, but if you've done it before, you get what I mean. The burn kicks in sooner than at sea level and then stays for longer than at sea level. So that's probably one of the big things that I feel is different when doing training up here at altitude. It just makes everything just is that little bit more difficult. So the erging, like we talked about, I said about earlier, you kind of have to back off a little bit, then your body gets used to it, and then you can hopefully step back into the splits you're doing at sea level. Like I said, for me, it's roughly 3 splits. Hopefully I can hold that and then step down. But in the weights room, you can generally do the same weight, and then since we're doing a good amount of training up here, it seems to step on more than it would at home. And like I said, that's probably down to the things like, so today, all I had to do after weights was come upstairs or go have lunch, obviously, because food is fuel, then come upstairs, jump in bed, have a nap, rather than, say, at the club, yes, the food is right there, it's right upstairs, it's absolutely fantastic, but then you have to go home, and obviously I don't have to go that far, but it just adds another thing for your body to do. It has more time, so you have extra time during the day up here on camp, but that's more the camp kind of style thing rather than altitude specifically. So I think that will be it for today's episode. Also, I've got the Yam Squad merch on. Oh yeah, so this was, remember, the first batch. This isn't for sale anymore, but there is still holiday themed merch available on yamsquad.com/shop. So go ahead over to there if you haven't purchased anything already. I think the run is finishing soon, and it is a limited run, so this Christmas merch will not be for sale ever again, especially in these colors. But then, so I've got a t-shirt with Christmas colors, so a red t-shirt and the green Yam Squad with a little bit of snowflakes. And then you have it's not just for life. I've got the sweater here, actually. I've got the sweater. A Yam is for life, not just for Christmas. Hopefully you can see that. And then I've got the other sweater for sale as well. It is a Yam with a Santa hat, or elf's hat. I think it's a Santa hat. The elf's hat's green. Let me know in the comments below. But they're all for sale now. The batches are limited and will finish soon. I don't even know what day it is, let alone a date. But they are ending soon, and then we'll get them shipped out before Christmas. And there's also, remember, Christmas jumper day mid-December. So why not grab yours now? And that will be it for today's episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything specifically that you think everyone would be interested in the Yam Squad about altitude training in particular, or anything else you might want to suggest. And as always, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that like button, and have a good one.